Millennials don't care about getting promoted. For pretty much all of history, it used to be those workers on lower levels take a look up the corporate ladder and be willing to do anything to climb it, work extra hours for no pay, sacrifice personal relationships, and even try to outdo their colleagues, all for the possibility of getting promoted, earn more money, and be able to retire. However, in recent times, people now value a lot of things over that, and it affects everything: the workforce world, the companies, and the economic prospects of the future generation. Stick around and you'll learn all about it. Folks, it's pretty simple what I'm describing here. Since forever, a company-worker relationship has been very straightforward. Workers do everything in their power to earn the company money, and the company rewards that hard work with promotions, bigger salaries, and more privileges. In that company-worker relationship, there's a very clear and unchanging power dynamic that functions to keep productivity high, and consequently profits high as well. This conventional relationship was an aspect of what used to be the overwhelmingly popular strategy for career success in the States, which was to get formal education, go to college, get a college degree, get a job, stay dedicated to that job, gain promotions up the levels, make more money, and then retire into comfort. This blueprint was pretty much the golden standard that everyone either followed or had to follow. Recently, however, that blueprint has gone obsolete. A cultural evolution in workplace ethics and priorities combined with a shift in economic landscapes has brought about an era of working-class people putting emphasis on a healthy work-life balance, an idealistic shift that sees millennials prioritize a healthy work-life over organization success or loyalty. The most obvious way they show this shift in ideal is through silent resignation. Some call it silent resignation, others call it quiet quitting. Whatever name you call it, it's an employer's worst nightmare. Silent resignation refers to when a worker under an organization performs at their minimum potential deliberately in order to save time, effort, and even in some cases, energy to do a second job. Workers who silently resign do just about enough to keep their job and absolutely nothing more. This grinds on the employers really badly, as workers in this state continue to collect a salary but puts no effort promote the productivity of the office. A potential recipe for disaster. If you're wondering, is that a thing people actually do? Or why would anyone do that? Well, we've already answered that second question, but we will revisit that in a minute. As for whether or not people actually quiet quit, the answer is an empathetic yes. A recent survey carried out by Gallup indicated that at least 50% of the US workforce are indeed quiet quitters. What's more is that the percentage rises even higher for workers under the age of 35. In the Gallup survey, they questioned workers to gauge their engagement with their jobs. Only 32% of the workers came across as engaged. In addition to the 50% who tried to convey engagement by doing the bare minimum, a further 18% made no secret of their disengagement from their work. If that's true, then it means about 68% of the US workforce are unpleased with their jobs in one way or the other. Nonetheless, if the 50% value by Gallup is to be believed, then that would mean 80 million workers are quiet quitting in their jobs. If you're an executive reading those numbers about your workers, then you're probably sweating hard. Unmotivated workers can grind to a halt any improvement or development plan laid out by the employing companies. In the end, employers and offices are caught between a rock and a hard place, as it's either you reward these workers with more incentives to motivate them, thus rewarding less with more, which no proper business can afford to do, or outright firing these workers and replacing them with new ones, which would also cost a lot of money and wouldn't ensure the problem doesn't turn up in the future again. And finally, both those options aren't even options until the employer learns an effective way of determining which one of his workers are quiet quitters, which in itself is a massive challenge. The reason, of course, for millennials resorting to silent resignation is due to their number one priority being to cultivate a healthy work-life balance. You see, with the economic landscape of modern-day America and the constant inflation of the consumer market, saving enough money to retire comfortably is nearly impossible anyway. In fact, a whopping 95% of young workers do not save enough for their post-career years. And even if they did, what guarantees would they have that the continuous inflation wouldn't just swallow up that retirement savings? So why? Why are the millennials prioritizing a healthy work-life balance over relentless career advancement? The seduction of gaining promotions and earning more money just doesn't feel worth the extra hours and sleepless nights. The corporate ladder doesn't mean much to most of this new age working class anymore. As long as they make enough from the job to afford a roof over their heads and food on their plates, They're fine with not advancing in their jobs, since they have no passion for it anyway. This value system of millennials have been said to have amplified in the 2020s during the COVID-19 pandemic. Everyone started working from home and had to get used to a work arrangement. They all of a sudden got to see the life they've been missing out on all this time. They got so used to it, however, that it became the new normal. Now, a healthy work life is the ultimate goal. Since retirement is an issue, millennials can choose to retire outside of the US, in other more tropical or smaller nations, where their American dollars can be worth a lot more. According to International Living, almost 1 million United States and Canadian citizens have already retired in Mexico, and a further significant amount has retired to Latin American countries like Barbados, Ecuador, Panama, Brazil, Argentina, Costa Rica, Colombia, and the Dominican Republic. Enjoying the video so far? If you know more about the plight of millennials in the workforce, please comment below and tell us what you know. But it's not all peace and love. The rising cost of living and the middling level of income will inevitably lead millennials and the younger generations to live poorer lives. Housing costs, for one thing, are especially unbearable. Over the last couple of decades, several real estate bubbles have led the cost of housing to rise substantially more than the average annual income for workers. In 1988, the average cost of a house in America was $110,000, which a worker could cover in just over 4 years with his average yearly income of $27,000. However, in 2022, the average cost of a home had exploded to $433,100, which a worker would need over 6 years to pay for, with the average yearly income sitting at $70,000. The increasing unaffordability of housing is a complex issue influenced by various factors. For one, the constant and sometimes sporadic population growth plays a substantial role in the inflation of housing prices as more people vie for limited housing resources, intensifying competition. Additionally, changing demographics contribute to the problem. But that's not all. Housing may be the worst of them all, but everything else has been inflated as well. The cost of education in both public and private schools has also surged, with the average tuition per year now being anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000. This significantly sinks young adults in the US into loan debt. The total student loan debt in the United States has reached a staggering $1.7 trillion. Notably, the average student loan debt upon graduation has tripled since the 1990s, soaring from $10,000 to $30,000. This has left a significant portion of the population with student loan debts exceeding $100,000. Millennials and Gen Z face an uneasy task to survive. Costs may be cut where they can. Unlike previous generations, today's young adults are delaying marriage and remaining single for longer periods, reducing their combined household income. This contrasts sharply with the past, when young couples often had multiple incomes at a younger age. In conclusion, the economic challenges facing younger generations extend beyond the shifting landscape of work and careers. The soaring unaffordability of housing, coupled with the burden of skyrocketing student loan debt, places significant financial strain on millennials and Gen Z. As they grapple with these challenges, they are also redefining the concept of a traditional career path, prioritizing work-life balance and seeking alternative income avenues. The intersection of these two phenomena highlights the profound changes taking place in the economic and professional landscapes, reshaping the future for younger generations.